Welcome back to Indivisible with John Stubbins. I'm your host, John Stubbins. Thanks for joining us today, America. We're being streamed today live to Facebook, to YouTube, to Twitter, and to pilled.net. Been a while since I've been with you, about a month. I've been on the road. I've been down in Oklahoma, went down to film Reagan, and was stuck in a hotel for a little over a week, and we didn't get to film anything because several members of the crew came down with COVID tests that came positive. So had to leave Oklahoma, then had to go to Washington, D.C., where we had an event with Congressional candidate Leon Benjamin in Virginia District 4 for President Trump's opportunity zones. And we'll get into that a little bit later with our guests. But I want to start tonight by calling out the nonsense and the rhetoric and the lies. And I want to point out a few key figures. First, Barack Hussein Odumbo. That's who I call him, Odumbo. Him and his wife, Michelle, who come out of the woodwork every, so often to stir up the flames of racial division and racial hatred in this country, simply because they can, and simply because there's a constituency of the Black community that continues to follow them, whether he's in the presidency or not. He comes up, from his, huge mansion in Martha's Vineyard to lecture all of us about racial unity, and if we would just vote Democrat, that everything would be okay. And gosh darn those evil Republicans and, their message and how we're all racist, right? Well, guess what, Barack Hussein Odumbo? You got me. I'm a big racist. So are all of my Black friends, my Asian friends, my Hispanic friends, my daughter, my family. We're all racists. You got me, you scumbag. I am so sick of you. I'm a huge racist. Ask anybody who knows me. That's all I do 24/7 is talk about how I'm going to get other people who aren't of my race. That's what I do. It's why I'm bringing on today, my brothers Leon Benjamin and Joe Collins and Errol Webber. That's why, because I'm such a racist that I just can't help myself. So I wanted to get that clear. And today, it is time to again, obviously, because of the stupidity of so many people out there, and obviously people who want to cheat and lie and steal, do anything that they can to destroy America. It's time to set the record straight. Not the propaganda of these socialists, these Marxists, these Democrats who lie to you and have been lying to you for 60 years. I don't care if it's Maxine Waters out in California District 43, who's done nothing for her constituents ever. All she's done is propagate racial division, just like her buddy Obama. It really is interesting to me how no one calls out these Democrats. It blows my mind how identity politics, every 2 years, every 4 years, it comes up. Doesn't matter who the candidate is. Didn't matter when it was Ronald Reagan. Didn't matter when it was Mitt Romney. Didn't matter when it was George Bush, Sr. or Jr. Didn't matter when it was Donald Trump. They're all racists. They say that during the campaign, before the campaign, after the campaign, and then you always notice as soon as the Democrat gets elected, then it's talk of unity, the utopia. Everything's okay now because we got our guy in. So now you're okay again. It's just interesting. And mark this down. Just like all those past races, you can take this to the bank. In 2022, in 2024, 2026, 2028, 2030, 2080, the year 3000. It won't matter, because there is a segment of the American people that will continue to vote on identity politics and be bamboozled miraculously every 2 and 4 years based on what the Democrats say. They're not smart enough to put 2 and 2 together and say, haven't I seen this show before? Haven't we heard this out of the Democrats for the last 60, 70, 80 years about how every single Republican, every single conservative, every Christian, every black man who votes Republican or is a conservative, every black woman, every Hispanic, they're all racists. It couldn't be that they have better policies. It couldn't be that they have more to offer the American people. Nope, they're racist. Let's defund the police. Let's destroy America with Marxism. Yeah, it's time to wake up, America. It's time to wake up. And by the way, while we're on the subject, you have all these people who are moving to, Arizona, Nevada, Texas, Florida, Tennessee. Doesn't matter where it's at. And then you heard this week that the Democrats, Andrew Yang, him and his wife, are going to move down to Georgia. And they're encouraging all Democrats and Antifa and BLM members to move down there so that they can steal the vote for these 2 Senate seats. But here's the point. If you're going to move from California or New York, and you're moving because the policies in those states have caused you to move because they've suffocated you to the point where you have to pick up your family and move to another state, you would think that you would be intelligent enough or have common sense enough that you would vote differently when you arrive in your new state. But no, you decide that you're going to go to Texas or Arizona or Nevada or Georgia or Tennessee or wherever, and you're going to vote blue. How stupid are you? What is wrong with you? Where is your common sense? Just simple common sense. I don't understand it. You need to take a long, long look in the mirror, people, because what you're doing, you're destroying our nation by your stupidity, and your stupidity is killing us. You banned God. You destroyed half of this country with lies, with propaganda, with nonsense. And I'm here to tell you that you're not going to get away with it. We're going to fight you to the bitter end. And you want to talk about defunding police. Okay. So guess what? If we want to defund police, then Americans shouldn't have to pay taxes anymore for police or for fire or for emergency services. How about that? It's interesting because this council member in Minneapolis, she gets in an Uber, I find out yesterday, and she has a problem with the Uber driver because the Uber driver wouldn't roll the window down or up, and stops at a gas station and calls the police. This woman demanded that the police be defunded, and she has the gall to call the police now. And now Minneapolis supposedly has to come up. They've come up with $500,000 because they want to hire 40 new police officers. What's that all about? I thought you didn't want the police. I thought you were reimagining the police. You people are idiots. You're fools. I just don't understand it. It makes you almost wonder if we need to split this country up in two and put all you idiots on one side of the country and leave the other side of the country to the people who have common sense, to the people that do believe in God, to the people that do believe in law and order, okay? And sound policies. Because most of you people that voted for Joe Biden, not only did some of you cheat and try to steal the election, but the rest of you, you did no research. You just voted blue down the ticket because that's what your relative or your buddy told you to do, or that's what you bought from Hollywood or Oprah or LeBron James or whoever. What is wrong with you? You obviously didn't study American history. You didn't study World War history or world history. Haven't we seen this playbook before in Nazi Germany in the 1930s? Didn't they defund the police? Didn't they take over and form a complicit media to the Nazi regime? Didn't they do that? I think they did, amongst many other things. And to all you morons who moved from California and New York, you better get a grip. Because I'm going to tell you right now, we've had it with people like you. You are stupid. You are fools. And the New York Times, the Washington Post, they've been anti-Semitic since World War II, with anti-Semitic cartoons, with Holocaust deniers. These people are complicit in defunding the police, just like Hitler asked the Nazi regime to do in Nazi Germany. So no, you talk about how Donald Trump is Hitler. No Democrats, no Obama, no Biden. You are Hitler. You are the Nazis. Don't try to project that onto the Republican Party. You've done this. Your people, your voters, your so-called leaders who spread lies and false propaganda. You want a civil war, you're breathing down the neck of it because people aren't going to tolerate it. And that's not what we want. But you're doing things dishonestly. You're lying, you're cheating, you're stealing, you're killing, you're looting, you're burning, you're manipulating people. President Trump got at least over 12% of the African American vote, which is double what anyone has ever done, at least double. And I believe that it's more when the counts are all done. And BLM and Antifa, they pen a letter to Biden. They want support now for their vote. You understand what that means, right? So if you don't do what they say, Biden, you know what BLM and Antifa are going to do, right? Because they've shown us all year that they're going to burn, and they're going to loot, and they're going to murder, and they're going to assault. And that's what you've led us to by allowing your rhetoric, Obama, Odumbo, him and his wife, Michelle, the Bidens, the Clintons, all your so-called leaders, Clyburn, Maxine Waters, Jerry Nadler, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, you are all scumbags. You are the scum of the earth. And what you've done, you've committed treason. And this goes back, and we're going to get into all this. We're going to talk about, on this show today, how we got here when I bring on my guest here in a second. But I wanted to talk about that. We're going to talk about big tech, the NFL, the NBA, others, CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, The View, Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, who come out with their crap. These people don't know a damn thing that they're talking about, and they want to come out and lecture us after Kathy Griffin held up a severed head of Trump, after Snoop Dogg shoots President Trump in the head, one of his videos, after Madonna says she feels like blowing up the White House, after Johnny Depp says that, he needs to be the first actor to assassinate a president. It's been a while, he said. We got to do that again, right? Robert De Niro, who talks about how he wants to punch President Trump in the face. Well, guess what, De Niro? I want to punch you in the face. You're a scumbag. Alec Baldwin, all you rappers, Oprah, Michelle Obama, Romney, you're disgusting. Sidney McCain. Look, we know what's going on here. We're going to get into this today. I want to bring on my guests. I'm welcoming to the program Leon Benjamin, who is running for Congress in Virginia, District 4. Like I said, we just did an event with Leon in Virginia for President Trump's Opportunity Zones. And I want to bring on Joe Collins from California, District 43. How you guys doing?
Doing great. You're on fire. You're on fire, John. I see the fire and the flames all over your head and in your eyes. And we are at, yes, a tipping point in America. So it's good to be on the show today. God bless you.
I'm thrilled to have you guys, and we've got so much to talk about. It's really interesting because, we have been down this road before. We've seen this before. Like I said, I was talking about World War II history, and I'm sure that you guys are aware that Hitler in World War II, the Nazi regime, they pulled off this miraculous bamboozlement of an entire country that went along with their propaganda to not only destroy their country, but get into battle with another ideology, which is just as bad, the communist ideology through Joseph Stalin in Russia. And people always talk about Hitler, but they never talk about Stalin. Neither one of these guys was an example for what is right. They are both mass murderers. In fact, I think Stalin probably killed more, in the millions, probably over 100 million between him and Lenin. They were mass murderers, and people just don't understand. How do you get, when people say that history repeats itself, okay? They're not just saying that. It's not a slogan. If people do not understand history, if they don't understand how we got here, if we don't teach history in our schools, whether it be American history, world history, if we come up with lies about reinvented history, which BLM and Antifa are trying to do in our schools right now, they're indoctrinating our schools right now, as we speak, that it will lead to World War III. That is exactly what's going to happen because we've seen this playbook before.
Well, look, it's good to see also Brother Joe Collins in California. I'm telling you, Brother Joe, keep fighting. That's the main thing I can keep saying, because that's what we have to do now. Our nation right now, John, is at a crucible. It's at a fork in the road, and we never thought it would come down to plain old deception. It goes beyond politics. It goes really into, and me being a bishop and a pastor, it goes into spirituality, mask, get it? Mask by deception. And when we can look at people straight eyes, bold face, and say, I didn't do it, that is the biggest mask of deception that can happen. So we're not talking about concealing things. We're talking about what's going on right in front of our faces. on a high spiritual level, and it invades every arena, including our family, including government, including education, economy, media, Hollywood, science. It goes so deep. The layers are so deep. That's where we get what we call the deep state.
Okay? Even the church.
It's even in the church. It is in so many layers that it takes the grit and the grawl of the American spirit to begin to stand again and say enough is enough. We must come together now. And I heard you was going at it, man. But some kind of way, leaders must rise right now to the occasion and do what is necessary to bring people truly together to a level platform where everyone is assured that we're living in a democratic republic, that we're living in an America that was fought for, bled for, and died for by our founding fathers. And Benjamin Franklin said it best: a republic if we can keep it.
That's right. And by the way, yesterday was Veterans Day, and all three of us served. I want to salute both of you, my brothers, for your service. And my family represents every branch of the military. They've bled and died. Some lived. I'm sure same with your family. But I got to tell you right now, all those sacrifices, you think about it, World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam, the Middle East, we've already lost so many of our best people, okay, who put it on the line so that this country can be free, so that this country can be exemplary, so that it can be that shining city on the hill, okay? And we've got little brats who scream and cry and stomp their feet back here in America who don't give anything. They don't contribute anything. They haven't gone to war. They haven't done anything to contribute to society. In fact, not only have they not contributed, but they've gone in and looted stores. They've burned down our buildings, our small businesses, the small businesses owners of this country who have had their businesses destroyed. They've assaulted these people. They've spit in their face. They've murdered them. Some of them became law enforcement officers after they got out of the military. These people, they have no respect. They don't understand what law and order even means because they weren't taught to respect. They weren't taught to value anything. Yes. Now, we know that we have a fatherless epidemic in this country, which is why I work with Leon Benjamin on the opportunity zones for President Trump. And I know, Joe, I know that you're heavily involved in the opportunity zones as well. I want you and Leon to speak about that for a moment.
Well, I'll tell you this. The issues that we have going on right here in the United States, I mean, like, we can't be coy about the situation. It's been going on for a very long time. What we have to ask ourselves is, how come we've allowed this to happen? You know what I'm saying? And we are at a time right now where it's easy to complain about any type of situation. I see Republicans do it all the time. Complain about this, complain about that, complain about this, complain about that. But when it's time for action, it's not a lot of people that step up. You know, everybody want to be social media heroes, social media superstars. They want to get famous and sell merchandise online. But when it comes to actually, you know, taking action to affect positive change in our communities or even in the United States, we don't have any of that. You know what I'm saying? So our thing is, so we're mad at the Democratic Party, you know, we're mad at the people, not the party, because the party is just it's an idea, right? But we're mad at the people in the Democratic Party who are taking action to affect change in a direction that they want to affect change, right? When we should be mad at ourselves as Republicans for not fighting back. And right now, where you see Republicans start to fight back, it's kind of, you know, in my opinion, too late. Now we're at battle. We're at war right now. And, you know, and the establishment Republicans have done absolutely nothing to combat what's been going on for a very long time. Because if they had, they would have had a plan in place. Like President Trump has a plan in place. He's fighting. He's speaking out. A lot of younger Republicans like myself, Leon here are speaking out and actually taking steps to fight back. Now, what we're not getting is support from the establishment, who, in my opinion, is scared to fight back. Like, long gone are the days where you can get up and get on TV and talk about what your plans are and condemn somebody for being wrong. Those days are gone because people absolutely do not care about what you have to say. I mean, like, you can look at the people who've infiltrated the Black Lives Matter movement. They don't care what you have to say. If you're not listening to them, if you're not affecting change, if you don't want to help them, they're going to destroy your entire city. And that's what's been going on. Like, I've went to Minneapolis. We marched against police brutality. We've affected change in order to get the rest of those three cops arrested, get that one cop charges Trump, right? And we get back, and people say, well, you guys are Black Lives Matter because you went out there to march against police brutality. Well, what other leaders are stepping up to stop violence in these cities, stop destruction in these cities? Absolutely nobody, right? And so now you have a lot of liberals. You have a lot of conservatives acting like liberals. You know, the liberals want to complain, they want to cry, you know, and now conservatives are complaining and crying if somebody doesn't follow their ideology. When somebody steps up as a leader, and it's not about being a Democrat or Republican, it's about finding out how you can be the go-between to affect that type of change that we need positively for both sides. Because obviously, if people are tearing up the cities, they have an issue. Obviously, if conservatives are upset, there's an issue. So who is going to be that leader and say, you know what, let's stop this mess and let's get to the table and find out what the real issue is. We know the issue in the Black community, police brutality, even though we know the numbers. We can talk about numbers all day, but if an issue in a community, then as leaders, we have to step up and say, you know what, okay, let's find a solution, not defund the police. Let's probably increase the police budget. Let's probably get some social construct training in there. Let's probably get some more officers on the streets. Let's probably remove bad officers from the street, as we are doing in Los Angeles. But nobody want to do that. And even when it comes to opportunity zones, I mean, we already know that the majority of the dilapidated cities are ran by Democrats. The biggest population of Black cities. That's where they funnel us at. And they just happen to move all the jobs out of those cities. They just happen to move all the greatest healthcare facilities out of those cities. And they just happen to put some of the worst politicians in those cities. And if somebody speak up about it, because the Black community has been, I don't want to say brainwashed, but they've been conditioned to have a poor person's mentality. If you as a person say, okay, so this is my agenda, we're going to build wealth, we're going to rebuild our communities, we're going to put some quality health food places in our communities, we're going to bring some quality jobs back. Those are the things that people complain about. They say, no, you can't do it because you're a Republican, we don't trust you. Meanwhile, if a Democrat talks about it, you know, it's the best thing since sliced bread, knowing that they're not going to do it, because let's face the facts. Joe Biden's been promising us the same stuff since 1977 when he got into office. What did he do? Stab Black people in the back, Latinos, America in the back. Every time we turn around, Bill Clinton did the same thing. George Bush did the same thing. Barack Obama definitely destroyed our country with the LGBTQ movement, pushing that and the transgenderism into our schools with our youth, pushing it into the military, which increases suicide rate for people in the military. And so with President Trump, you have somebody constantly delivering. So what, you don't like what he says? He is a deliverer. And people have been so conditioned to be poor and be victims that they say, no, we don't want that. We don't want it. Meanwhile, we get gentrified out of our neighborhoods. Our children who shouldn't even be thinking about sex are being over-sexualized in our schools. Why is an 8-year-old talking about he's a transgender or she wants to use the boys' bathroom and they want to have surgeries? They're not even old enough to serve in the military, not even old enough to buy alcohol, not even old enough to pay bills. But yet you can, you know, assign them the responsibility of choosing their own gender, which is, you know, crazy in my opinion. But this is the America that we have chosen. And whether you chose it by saying this is what I want or chose it by acquiescence, which is silence or the refusal to fight, this is our fault.
That's
and
right.
So we have to step up and be leaders and fix the problems that we helped create, because it's not just the Democrats. It's the Democrats and the Republicans for refusing to take action when action was needed. That's
right. And not only that, Joe, but I would add that, because you're right, there are issues. And if there's a bad police officer out there on the streets, get him off the streets. Again, common sense. Okay. Everybody in America, Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, we should all be able to agree on that. Okay. That's a common sense solution. If you have a bad apple, get the bad apple out. Right. I don't care what the profession is. I don't care if you're a nurse. I don't care if you're an accountant. If you're dirty, Get him out of there. Okay. Now, the other part of that is, and this is the part that no one wants to ever talk about, and I don't understand it. What about self-accountability? Okay. So you mean to tell me that because George Floyd got, we don't know exactly. There's a lot of science out there that's yet to be determined in the case, but he had his, neck pressed to the ground, supposedly died from that. Some people say it was because he was on some kind of drugs, whatever. Doesn't matter. The police reform that needed to happen to stop an officer from doing that needs to be done. Okay. But what about what George Floyd did beforehand? And not only that, but also, does George Floyd's death make it right to go out and loot Walmart and Rolex and Nike and all these businesses? What does that have to do with George Floyd? What does murdering people have to do with George Floyd? What is burning down buildings? So look, people, and I'm talking about criminals now, the criminal element of BLM and Antifa, they want chaos, okay? And those people, you will never be able to reason with them. It doesn't matter how good your policies are, how much sense they make. Even if you
wait. Let me correct you. You can reason with them, and you reason with them with excessive force from the sheriff's department. We did it in LA, and they got the picture. You can't talk to them, but you can reason with them. You can come protest peacefully and take your behind home. But when you start that destruction, it's about to go down because we don't want it. Yeah. So
and that's exactly right. That's exactly right, Joe. That's what has to happen, and that's what's not been happening.
Yeah,
there's no accountability for this behavior. Go ahead, Leon.
John, I want to say the whole reason for the opportunity zones is the word in front of zone. Okay, opportunity. Okay, the main reason when the jobs reform or the Jobs Act and the tax reform was passed, we knew, and everyone knew, that when you start putting money back into people's pocket, it changes the attitude of individuals. But it was supposed to be a corporate partnership between community stakeholders and private partnerships, as well as governmental agencies. So that's nonprofits, for-profits, and this is what happens, because our opponent knows that if you take certain elements out of the community, like opportunities to get a good job, opportunities to provide for yourself and for your family, your children, opportunities to create a job like entrepreneurship.
Yes.
You start taking those elements out of the community, they know it's going to rise to criminal activity.
Yep.
When a person is stealing, now we understand this. The Bible says if a person is stealing because he's hungry, that's one reason. But if now they incorporate and make it an activity, they're not hungry anymore. You was hungry the first time. Okay, we understand the first time you did it. Okay, but our criminal justice system needs so much reform. But if you don't put opportunities into and assimilate that into the community, the same pattern is going to happen over and over again. And that's why what Joe said, in some of the Democrat-run cities and states, they have extracted those particular elements out of the community, which is only going to give rise to bad education, no opportunities to start over. So there goes the reentry. There goes the criminal justice reform. So whatever they say about criminal justice reform, if you don't put investment into the community, you're going to get the same old thing over and over and over and again.
But that's their policy. That's their policies, Leon.
Right. And so what happens with the
they don't want to. They don't want our policies, like Joe said. They don't want the Republicans anywhere around to talk to their constituents, right? But their constituents have to keep going along with the same old failed policies for the last 60 years that don't work.
Even in the Bible, Pharaoh knew he could hold the children of Israel down in a type of bondage if he started doing some particular things. One of the things he did was he assigned taskmasters who kept on, harassing, sound familiar? Yep. Going through the neighborhood saying, you'll never be anything. And they would harass them, heavy taskmasters. The other thing he did was to kill the babies 2 years old and younger.
Yeah.
So here we see certain things implemented into a community with the purpose, intent to keep them down.
King Herod.
And God had to send a Moses,
Herod,
to say that the current government, the whole intent of the current government was to genocide all of the Israelites until they disappeared. Kill all the men or put them in jail.
Yep.
And assimilate the women into their community. This is what Pharaoh wanted to do.
Yep.
And what we're seeing in America right now is an attempt to kill every male, to kill every man, or make every man obsolete in this nation. And so that we cannot provide for ourselves, we keep on having to look for government, for welfare. We can't speak up anymore. And this is what this is a repeat of history, like you said.
Well, you saw what Biden came out and said yesterday. They're really excited about these new shutdowns coming up because they told everybody, don't worry if you lose your business or if you can't go to work, we'll send you checks to keep you afloat. Okay, we're gonna send you government checks so you can get by, whatever get by means. Look, I want to say something. I got a couple people that have chimed in that wanted me to ask a couple things. Number one, I wanted to add this: there is no office of the president-elect that Joe Biden claims. He's undermining President Trump. The counts aren't even done. He's calling world leaders, setting up deals. He just tried the Obama administration. We just went through this coup, this attempted coup, where they tried to destroy the president. Carter Page, General Flynn, using the Logan Act. Aren't they doing the exact same thing? And by the way, this voter fraud with this Dominion software, T-Bone 8, who just chimed in, wanted me to state, and it's true. Dominion deleted 2.7 million Trump votes nationwide.
Yeah.
Data analysis finds over 221,000 of those votes in Pennsylvania alone. And back to BLM for a second. People like Ben Crump. You ever notice that Ben Crump always represents people from the Ferguson effect? Whether it's Trayvon Martin or the family of George Floyd or Michael Brown, he's always on the wrong side of history. Who is this Ben Crump? I know who he is. I know exactly who he is. He's a race hustler who is funded and supported by Al Sharpton.
Well, look, here's the thing about what's going on right now in our communities, especially the Black community. We have been marginalized. We have been ostracized. We have been left off of the table of any type of engagement. The current Congressional Black Caucus does not represent the Black families in their communities. Joe knows this well. the lovely campaign. It was an arsenal campaign to depict how can you live over here and forget about the people over there. How can you say you're helping your people and they are living off of crumbs and you're living off of escargot and champagne? And what we're seeing now is, I believe there's a shift and a transition. That's why President Trump's base expanded in the African American community
and the Hispanic community.
It expanded.
Yeah.
The Hispanic community expanded because people really saw the veil, beyond the veil of the Biden-Harris campaign. They saw it and they came out 70 plus million strong.
Over 72 so far.
Woo! That is a telltale sign that something has shifted in America.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing places where certain counties have reached over 100% of registered voters.
117% voting counted. Like what?
Right.
In order to get to 100, it's not going to go above that.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, guys?
let me tell you what's even more amazing than that. Right?
Look, there were
Biden.
over, just in Wayne County alone, and this is in Michigan, by the way, Detroit, there were over 240 pages of affidavits in that one county alone from the Trump campaign that were filed with the court. Look, we are men of common sense. Okay, we're not dummies. We know that this voter fraud is rampant in all these Democrat-run cities. We've heard all the stories. There, people dumping votes, hiding votes, burning votes, putting them in the trash, hiding them, storing them in a van overnight, and then changing the votes out, filling them in, blocking the windows so no one can see. We've seen it all. And you know what? I'm going to go back to this because I got to just say it. And I don't understand why the Republican Party doesn't bring this up. They always project the Republican Party as the racist party, but it's Joe Biden and his party that banned God. It's Joe Biden and the Clintons who have their mentor as Robert Byrd, the Grand Wizard of the KKK, not the Republican Party. So why aren't the Republican Party bringing this up? We need to find out how we got here. And I'm talking about for the last 60 years, the Republican Party gets this every 2 and 4 years, this projection by the left, by the Democrats, by these Marxists, these socialists. They always project. You always notice they'll be quiet for a while until election season gets rolling along. And then they start bringing up racism again and how it's the Republicans. And like I said in my opening, you can mark it down for the next 50, 100, 1,000 years. If we don't change this and start telling the American people real American history, and that the Democrats are the party of resistance to civil rights, that they are the party of the KKK, that they are the party of Jim Crow. It kills me whenever Obama comes out and talks about Jim Crow. He loves to talk about Jim Crow. Well, guess what, Odumbo? It was your party. You started Jim Crow. I'm sick of hearing it. I'm tired of it.
John, that would be all well and good, but let's face the facts. The Republican Party does not reach into the Black and Latino communities in order to spread that message. I mean, so I understand your frustration on that one. You can be mad all you want to, but the Democratic Party can talk about the Republicans being racist because there is no Republicans in Black cities, Latino cities, Asian cities. It's not. I've been the only Republican presence in the 43rd district. I'm pretty sure Leon's only Black Republican presence in his district. We've got no support from the RNC, NRCC. We raised our own money. We pushed our message, and we have a lot of Republicans who want us to push the message that they want us to preach. But it's like, if you want to push it, come into our communities. It never happens. It never happens. So from my opinion, I mean, like, the narrative is there. They can shape the narrative however they want to, because I can't stress this enough. There is no Republicans reaching out in the Black communities unless there's a Black Republican going there.
I think also this is why we have come to this point right now, because John, you asked the question, how do we get here? And just like Joe said, there was an experiment done with a baby. If you put a baby in a room by itself and the baby cries, okay, and then you leave that baby alone and never come, after a while, the baby stops crying. Why? Because it has developed a process saying nobody's coming. No, and even though it's normal for a baby to cry, it's normal. And because that's a part of their mechanism if they need something. But after a while, if nobody comes, the baby says, well, heck, I'm just gonna shut up and be a silent sufferer. And that's what's happened in our communities. Silent suffering is more propagated than people who cry out. The whole saying that the squeaky wheel gets the attention, well, this is what some have done, including BLM and Antifa. It doesn't matter. The whole gender thing, whoever's crying out gets the attention. And what we have done, we have made or normalized, don't cry, because ain't nobody coming. Don't cry. Nobody's coming. What you crying for? Ain't nobody coming. And we are turning, I believe this is the turning point, that we are turning that around, because that's how God sent Moses.
Yeah.
That's how God sent Gideon. That's how God sent David the king. That's how God sent Jesus. I mean, he heard our cry. David said, this poor man cried, and he delivered me out of all of my fears and all of my troubles. And that's why God sent Joe. That's why God sent me and a whole lot of other people who are listening. We're listening now, John. We're listening. They're crying, and they ain't stopped crying yet. And whoever's saying ain't nobody crying, that's the thief right there. The one that says everything is okay. Don't worry about it. Calm down. Lower the temperature. Did you hear what they said? We can all come together now.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything is peaceful.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? The murder rate is up. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
People are still on welfare. People still can't afford to buy their own home. What do you mean, calm down? No, we gotta, like you're doing, John. I feel you, man. We gotta cry loud.
It sounds good. And I'm gonna tell you one thing that pissed me off. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even trying to be racist, but I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, Leon, we have white guys tell us, just tell them that this, just tell them that, just tell them that. And we sit here and we listen to it, and it's like, dude, we say that all the time. It doesn't work. And then we get to the point where, you know what? F it. Why don't you come in and tell them? You come in and say it, and it never happens. And we're left on the ledge. We're the Uncle Toms. We're the black white supremacists. We're the sellouts. Not you guys. This us. You know what I'm saying? Because we are the tokens in our communities, the Black Republicans. Luckily, we're brave enough to push a message that means something to the people as Republicans. And I seen, Leon does it as well. And that's why we got a lot of votes more than a lot of black people have gotten in the inner city. But it gets frustrating to listen to, it gets frustrating to listen to white people tell us, just tell them that the Democrats didn't do this, or the Democrats did that, or President Trump did this, and President Trump did that, or the Republicans this or that. When those people don't even come to our neighborhoods. I remember the first time I put my first campaign office right in the middle of South Central Los Angeles for a reason. And I had white people tell me, well, nobody's ever going to come there and volunteer. And I said, well, this is the community that I live in. And then when people actually started to come, white people, Asians and Latinos and black people actually started to come and volunteer, they were like, wow, we didn't even know that your community is like this. But these people are really nice people, just like everybody else. There's just no opportunities. And I'm like, finally, you get it. If you come to the communities, you'll be able to understand that way you can, craft a message around what we go through in our communities or actually experience and have the understanding of what it is that we go through in a community. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen. So, it's kind of asinine unless you can come to our communities and say it, no disrespect in whatsoever.
Yeah, look, here's the deal. I'm not even a politician, and Leon will tell you I'm not afraid to come into those communities. In fact, I've been.
No, you're not.
No. I don't care. I don't care if it's Los Angeles. I don't care if it's Seattle. I don't care if it's New York. I've lived in California. I've lived in New York City. I'll come into those cities at any time and speak out and say what needs to be said because I'm not afraid. And
that would be helpful. Not for you, but for somebody from the Republican Party to actually do it. I know Kevin McCarthy kind of got a little upset when he started talking about the Black community, and I blasted back. Well, you never been to the Black community before. We haven't seen you here, so you can't really speak on something that you don't know about. And a couple other people in the social media conservative world as well got upset. But I've also offered to pay for your plane ticket and set you up a forum and get people out there so you can preach your message and see how it resonates. And I still haven't got anybody to accept that offer either.
I'll accept that offer, and I'm not a politician. Okay, look, I live in a Black community right now.
Yeah,
it's 95% Black. The community I live in.
Where are you at? South Dallas? No, just kidding.
No, I'm in Ohio, but that's okay. That's okay because I lived in New York City. Like I said, I lived in California, and so look, I've got so many friends that are Black and Hispanic and Asian. Look, I've got my thumb on the pulse, and so I know what's going on and how people feel, just like you guys are saying right now.
Yeah,
you're speaking the truth, and I know it's the truth. The problem is we've got people that, like you said, they don't go into those communities. Mm-hmm. They don't speak up, which is why I wanted to take the combination of the opportunity zones to bring this message, because if we could use the opportunity zones as a way to reach out to the community, and that's if it's predominantly Black, fine. If it's Asian, fine. If it's Hispanic, fine. Doesn't matter to me the demographics. But if we can use the opportunity zones as a way to reach that community, and provide opportunity, I can use that platform to get the message across, along with brothers like Leon and you, Joe, and Errol Webber, or whoever, okay? Whether it be Senator Tim Scott, it doesn't matter. But there are a lot of people out there that are in this for their own agenda, their own pocketbook, and I don't care if that's white or Black. It's about what can be done for their brand. What can I get out of the deal? It's not about what's best for the country. It's not about what's best for the state that they live in, or the city they live in, or their neighbors. It's all about them. And I'm sick of that, because that is a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the whole reason why the base expanded in this election and why we are here today, there is a fight now for, and it was already said, for the soul of America. There is a war going on right now. Who rules in America? And this goes way beyond President Trump, because I believe he's going to be in for 4 more years. But will the church wake up? Will the communities wake up to say, what have you done? Our Lord says, what can a man give for his soul? Do you know the value of your soul? If the enemy knows what he can or what he will do to win your soul, which is thievery, lying, cheating, stealing, whatever it takes.
Murder.
How come the devil knows how much we're worth and we don't know how much we're worth?
Exactly.
How come our enemies know how valuable America is?
A lot of it.
We who say we got all the principles, we got Jesus, we got the Bible, we got the Constitution, we got the Declaration of Independence, we got all those documents, but we keep on selling ourselves out to the enemy because we don't know how valuable we are. I think we're waking up to our true value. That's why God like Bro has been doing what he's doing, basically funded, and small donations just kept coming into his campaign. Is because I believe he tapped into the value of the soul. And that's what I did in my race. I tapped into the value. People want to know, do you care about me really? And when you touch that without lying, stealing, and cheating, and thievery, and everything, that says a whole lot. That's what President Trump did. That man.
A lot of people they've never seen it before.
He left billions of dollars to become the president, and then he donates his paycheck every quarter. I think he knows the value of a soul.
Amen.
I think he understands the value of a soul. And I think God is not going to go deaf in this season because of who knows the true value. If the enemy knows the true value, but he can't earn that. He knows that he has to steal, cheat, lie. Jesus said the devil comes but to steal, kill, and destroy. So he'll get your soul. I'm talking to America right now. The enemy will get your soul, and then he'll eat your soul.
That's right.
He will not care for your soul. He will devour your soul. The Bible talks about how Satan goes about like a roaring lion, seeking to whom he may devour. So if you give your soul over to your enemy, they're going to eat you alive.
That's right.
They willingly gave their soul, because that Democrat platform, that Joe Biden, he says we're fighting for the soul of America. And it's 72 million people allegedly that voted for Joe Biden. So that's 72 million people who gave their soul away for free. For free. They gave it away. They didn't even get nothing for it. They gave their soul away. And then they get mad at everybody else because I don't want to sell my soul. When I first heard it, I was torn. I'm like, fight for the soul of it. My soul belongs to God. I'm not giving that to anybody. Not for free, not for a price, not for anything.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just, now that you brought that up, I had to write it down because it made me think like, dang, fight for the soul of America. Democrats are fighting for your soul, and there's 72 million people that just freely gave their soul away. And then we wonder why we struggle.
Yeah, well, these are people of either low integrity, no character. A lot of these people haven't been taught. They don't even understand what a soul is. A lot of them may not even know God.
But think about why some don't know the value of their soul. I take the father out of the family.
Yep, that's right.
If I put a whole bunch of us in jail, and I make you work for what, $3.23 an hour in jail, they're working. It might even be less than that. It might be $1.25 an hour.
Yeah, something like $1 and some change.
And then I say, you're important to me. And I smile and keep saying that. My God, no wonder. It's amazing. I had some people say, I don't care if you are a Black Republican. I'm not going to vote D all the way down the line.
Yep.
Because they want to get a soul away. That's why.
So it ain't about color. It's not about color. For those who say this is about racism, it's something deeper than color.
Oh yeah.
It's an indoctrination. It's an implant.
Yep.
That has gone down to the soul.
You just hit my point on the head, Leon. You just hit my point on the head. You nailed it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And that's why I kind of, make fun of the situation, even though I'm not laughing, because they're using this identity politics as a way to get to that marker, which is Marxism, socialism, the destruction of the church. You see it now. Look, there's a divide in the church. Once they brought in this transgender stuff and maybe abortion's okay, you've now split the church, which is what they wanted to do. So they're doing it across society, business, school, church. government, like we said, and it's like a microchip. It's evil. They've planted this seed where everybody's a winner. Everybody gets a trophy. Everybody's in first place. No, that's not right. You got your butt beat on the football field last week, or on the tennis court, or on the racetrack. You got your butt beat. You lost.
Yep. Well, look, you guys, I'm on vacation right now. I'm spending time with my children. I've been on here for an hour, so I'm gonna go ahead and log off. I love you guys. God bless you, and salute. Happy Veterans Day, you guys. I love you.
God bless you. See you, Joe.
All right, peace.
God bless you, Joe.
Leon, we're going to be bringing on Errol Webber from California as well here in a few minutes. But before he gets here, I want to talk with you about a couple things. This Pfizer announcement yesterday. You know that Pfizer has come up with a vaccine through President Trump's warp speed initiative, okay, which Biden is now trying to take credit for, by the way. And it's 90% effective. So I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know if that means they still have trials to run, but I found out last night after watching Tucker Carlson that the CEO, Albert Bourla, I think it's pronounced, he had a prearranged large block of shares of his stock. 62% of his stock was sold prearranged. And you notice how Biden knew about the vaccine announcement even before President Trump did. They hid it from President Trump because a lot of these people, their pocketbook is in the bank here with Pfizer. So how did that happen? Biden knew on Sunday. President Trump and his team didn't know until Monday.
Yeah,
and it's the American taxpayer that is paying for this to the tune of $2 billion. $2 billion went to Pfizer to develop this vaccine under President Trump's warp speed initiative. And this announcement, by the way, you notice they didn't announce it until after the election. So the FDA consulted with Pfizer to slow down the release of this news to affect the election. I believe that because it was approved one business day after Biden was declared the winner.
Well, let me tell you something. The whole thing about this whole year was to cover. That's what the mask, anyone that's wearing a mask right now, you got to understand you are a part of a plot to cover, to mask the real intent, which was to take America down a pathway that no one would go willingly. No one is going to say, hey, I'm voting for socialism.
Right.
No, hey, I'm voting for poverty. And I want my family broke up, and I don't want to know who my daddy is. And I want to keep having babies and making a decision to get rid of the baby because someone told me it's interfering with my success. Nobody's going to vote for that. No one's going to vote for communism and all of this. So any news that's coming out right now, strategically, amen, was all wrapped around the vote. Anything that's coming out right now, John, you got to understand, strategically is wrapped around the vote.
Yeah.
But America, it's I'm telling America right now, it's not over.
No.
It's not over by any means. We already knew that vaccines were being worked on.
Yeah.
And by the way, no one should have to force you to take a vaccine, by the way. And especially I'm talking to my Christian brothers and sisters, by his stripes we were healed. Okay. But anyway, but to the most vulnerable, yes, you if your faith is not saying I don't need it, then by all means take it. But understand everything was circumvented, John, around the vote.
Yep.
Everything was slowed down, circumvented, navigated, redirected.
That's right.
I saw a movie the other day. I had to watch it. Live Free or Die Hard. Remember when they were controlling the stoplights?
Oh yeah. Oh
they
yeah.
were controlling the signal lights so that cars could run into each other. Do you hear me? Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh
There
yeah.
was somebody behind the scenes controlling the signals.
Yes.
Controlling subliminally the stoplights, the detours. Here you're thinking you going down this way and someone puts up a detour only to navigate you away from the true path. This is what they tried in America.
That's right.
Detour.
And on that note, because I want to do a reset of how did we get here? And I want to ask that question, and I'm going to bring on brother Errol Webber from California. How you doing, Errol?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good to have you on the show, brother. Look, I want to go back to this. We've got brother Leon Benjamin here from Virginia, and Errol. You know, I asked the question, how did we get here? Okay, we've got an attempted coup of President Trump during his campaign before he was even elected, that affected Pfizer abuse on Carter Page, what's happening with General Flynn and my friend Sidney Powell, who's representing him, George Papadopoulos, and Democrats didn't get what they wanted in that 2016 election. So they went immediately, as soon as he was elected, he wasn't even sworn in, and they were already on impeachment. They just could not accept the fact that, like I said, that President Trump won that election, and they have fought him tooth and nail. Tooth and nail. Every second. The man hasn't had 1 second of peace since he was elected in 2016. And like I said, you look back on, I mentioned it in my opening earlier, you didn't hear it, but I don't care if it was Madonna who was talking about we need to blow up the White House, or Kathy Griffin holding up a severed head of President Trump, or Snoop Dogg in one of his videos shooting the president in the head, or Johnny Depp talking about how it's been a long time since a president was assassinated, or Robert De Niro, or Joy Behar, or Whoopi Goldberg, all these idiots who hate President Trump, and they can never point to any policy that is wrong, but they hate the man, okay? And so everything they've done, they've rigged the elections, fraud, riots in the streets, burning, looting, murder, all goes back to the election, the attempted coup of the president. They were going to do everything in their power, everything, anything against the law, didn't matter, still doesn't matter, to wipe out not only President Trump, but every Republican running on the ballot anywhere in America. Now, thankfully, in so many, especially in the House, we've got like 16 Republican women that have already won in the House. These are seats gained. This doesn't even include anybody else's race. So I'm not going to get into all those numbers or what that means, because we know that this Dominion software, like I said in the last block, that Dominion software has now found that over 2.7 million votes have been switched from President Trump to Biden. Just in Pennsylvania alone, it was over 221,000. So this fraud by the Democrats, what they're doing, the cheating in this election, it runs rampant. So I want to bring you guys in to reset this. I want to talk about Omar, who we brought here. She lives in Minnesota. She's in the Congress. She's a jihadist. She wants to destroy America. She must live in a district that's overrun with Muslims or jihadists or people that want to destroy America, because they voted for her again, unless they cheated, right? Now the Democrats are putting together an enemies list. So you, Leon, me, Joe, everybody that ran against Democrats, we're on that enemies list. What are they going to do? They going to hunt us down? They going to kill us? They going to put us in internment camps? What do you guys think?
So I want to talk about that for a second, because many people, especially those on the left, need to watch a history lesson. They need to learn what happened in the 1930s through 1940s in Poland and in Germany.
Yep.
They need to, a lot of times when people compare what's happening here in the US to things that happened in the 40s and 30s during the Holocaust, a lot of people, they get upset and they go, oh my gosh, how dare you compare it to the Holocaust? Excuse me for a second. The Holocaust didn't go from zero to Holocaust in 2 seconds. It started with the gradual stripping away of rights. The gradual, I'll make an inroad with you about this. Gradual, okay, all right, I'll do that because it's for the betterment of everybody else. And then you fast forward 80 years, and now we're like, oh, I'll wear a mask outside by myself in the middle of nowhere. It's for the betterment of everyone. Okay, no problem. Oh, you want me to stay indoors and shut down my business? Sure, I'll shut down my business for 8 months. It's for the betterment of everyone. Oh, you want me to separate myself 6 feet? Oh, no problem. It's for the betterment of everyone. Oh, you want me to shut down my church for 7 months? No problem. I'll shut down my church for 7 months.
You want to take my gun?
Oh, yeah. You want to take my gun? Oh, am I going mad from being home for 7 months? Oh, there's a red flag law where if my neighbor thinks I'm going mad, they can strip me of my gun while also stripping me of my due process rights. Oh, that's totally fine. Yeah, take my gun.
Yeah. You want to defund the police?
So, like, here we have, in one hand, they want to release thousands of inmates from prisons and from jails because of COVID. And then in the next breath, they try to close the gun stores. And then they incorporate red flag laws. And then they stand down when people are burning and looting. So why, like, what goes through someone's head to make them justify responding to criminality with amnesty or apathy? Because the more that you respond to criminality with amnesty and apathy, the more you enable further criminality.
Yes, exactly. And Errol, you just hit on it. I don't know if you caught the first part of the show, but I opened the show talking about Nazi Germany in the 1930s.
I wasn't there.
And look,
wow.
that is exactly how we got here. And I've been talking to Brother Leon about this and Brother Joe. Look, here's the deal. Everything that you're seeing right now, the activist takeover of the media, who's all in for the Democratic Party, the defunding of the police, the masks, the lockdowns, the wanting to take your guns, the cheating in the election, all of it, all the way back to the attempted coup of the president that I mentioned. This is a rewritten script from history. If you know World War II history, you know what the Nazis did. They always try to project, though, that it's Trump that's Hitler. No, it's the Democrats.
If you listen,
Democrats are following the Nazi playbook.
I made a post yesterday that I was sitting in my car driving back from a place in my district, and I was listening to NPR because as a political candidate, I can't just get my news from just right-wing sources. I have to get my news from NPR. And 5 minutes of listening to NPR, you would believe that President Trump is Lucifer and that the world is coming to an end tomorrow.
Right.
And there's so much hatred for this country coming from the left. They're so indignant about it as well. So here we have a whole bunch of America-hating liberals who think that Republicans are the devil, but then they'll continue to vote for the very people destroying their lives. So here we have, I'm going to share a quick story because this happened after the last time I came on your show, but I was going through my district, putting up lawn signs, putting them up on utility poles because I can't put lawn signs down in my district because liberals and in their unhinged hatred for Republicans rip my lawn signs out the grass. So I have to get on a ladder and post them 9 feet up in the air on utility poles to keep them out of reach of children. I mean, Democrats. So I was going through Leimert Park, the blackest part of my district. And as I'm going through Leimert Park, putting up my signs, I have folks who are chasing me outside. Get out of here with that Trump S word, you N word. And these are other black people. Like, we don't want you around here. Get out of here. And I'm like, wait, what do you hate so much about the American flag? Because they hate them. I have a gigantic American flag draped on the hood of my car. They're like, get out of here with that American flag. I'm like, what do you hate so much about the American flag? Say 2 more words. I'm like, you know what? Let me get out of here because I'm just by myself. I don't want to get beat up over this. All good. So here I get chased out of a section of my own district. And then they then champion the very people who have led to their demise. So I wrote a comment to somebody a couple of days ago. They were having some relationship issues and they really wanted to stay with their ex. And I wrote this thing to them where she was wondering, how did, on November 3rd and November 4th, how did the Democrats get so many votes? Why did so many people apparently vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? And I said, for very much the same reason you're hung up on your abusive ex. Think about this for a second. You got Joe Biden and Kamala Harris who spent the better half, they spent 1/2 a century implementing mass incarceration, ripping black fathers from households, breaking black family units, perpetuating single motherhood, attaching more people to the welfare program, proliferating the school to prison pipeline because there isn't the structure of a 2-parent household. There is a lack of respect for authority. So teachers are in a bad way, a lack of respect for authority when it comes to police community relations. So there's a general hatred for police and fomenting hatred for police. There is a disinvestment in our community when it comes to community programming and opportunities for us to invest residential and commercial property and like bring business to the community. After all of that, to top it all off, you have Kamala Harris, who then locks people up in California beyond their sentences for extended sentences to then have extra workers in the prison industrial complex. And then she has the nerve to get on a TV interview and laugh and brag and gloat about smoking weed and committing the very same crimes that she would then lock up other people for life sentences.
Yeah.
And then after all of that, after destroying the black community for 1/2 a century at least, we have black people in the district
Errol,
who go and vote Democrat.
You must have been watching. You must have been watching us. We tied that whole thing about certain ingredients create a vote for what you really don't want. That is a type of suppression and depression. This is why God had to raise up people like us to sound the clarion call that it's time for a shift. He had to raise up John Stubbins and many others. When all those people that came to Washington, D.C. on the return, who said that we have to come back to God. 2 Chronicles 7:14 was quoted so many times that day. If my people who are called by my name would turn from their wicked ways. There are some people, that's why this voting cycle right here must be challenged until every rock is unturned.
I want to add something to that.
This cycle, because turning from wicked ways, he didn't say everybody has to turn. He just said my people. So that means there are some who are never going to turn. So that's why we must overturn every rock, and count every vote. Because
every legal vote.
Thank you. Every legal vote, because there are some who are just going to keep on trying to promote socialism, communism, Marxism, poverty, incarceration, unfair incarceration, because some people need to be in jail, okay? But the breaking up of families, some are going to continue to promote that. And guess what? Some of us are going to still keep voting for that. So we need to come. We have come to this place where prayer has now led to the unmasking of our voter system, which is the heartbeat of a democratic republic. If you take the voting system out of the democratic republic, you no longer have a democratic republic. That's right. You have a what is called authoritarianism. Okay,
banana republic,
a dictatorship.
Yep. And by the way,
that this is gonna be your leader. Shut up and suck it up. Okay, that's not good.
That was Nazi Germany in the 1930s. Exactly. That's exactly. And look, by the way, this Dominion software, this Hammer, this scorecard software, are these Dominion computers with this Hammer and scorecard software. It's real. Okay, people can say the Democrats can say whatever they want. They fought tooth and nail every second, even before President Trump was inaugurated. So I don't want to hear the Democrats whining and stomping their feet about the legal challenges to this election. I don't want to hear it, because they have been fighting this president. The man hasn't had 1 second of peace in 4 years since he's been elected. Not one. And like you said, Leon, this is a man who gives up his paycheck. This is a man who didn't have to do this. He built his own fortune, his own life. He wasn't dependent on the government like Obama and Biden and Kamala Harris to get their millions through shady deals with China or Ukraine.
Straight up selling out America to China.
Right, exactly. Not that way. President Trump built his businesses legitimately, and he didn't have to run for president. He didn't have to do this. He didn't have to put his family through this. But I'm going to tell you right now, there is no way that we are going to stop the process that is currently taking place because of people like Omar, back to my point, Tlaib, what they're doing and how they're lying to their constituents. I don't even know how they get voted for. It's got to be fraud. Either that or their communities are just infatuated. I mean, just completely congested with anti-American people. That's the only other answer. And for them to put, dead people on these voting rolls, like Tucker was talking about last night, and Dominion software computers being in 28 states, and them to have the nerve to come out with an enemies list of people like us. What are they going to do with us? Are they going to kill us? Are they going to put us in internment camps? What are they going to do? I want to know, Democrats, what are you going to do?
Well, this is where, and Errol hit it right to the point. All those things he mentioned, if I put all those things together in certain combinations, okay, I'm going to oppress that people. Now, whether in the Black community, Hispanic community, the Asian community, or even in the white community, it does. And see, this is the thing about colors. Again, this is really not about race now. It's
about class.
This is about the total control of every person on the planet.
It's about class.
This is about total power and control. We all came from one person, Adam. So what color was Adam? How did Adam make all these? How did Adam make all these colors? By the way,
Leon, they're using the identity politics as a way to perpetuate class war.
Yeah.
Not because you're right. At its core, this is not racial.
No,
it's class.
No.
Okay. They're dividing us up in class, but they're using racism and identity politics as the Trojan horse
to break down society so that they can introduce their own government, which is the textbook definition of, drumroll, Marxism.
Exactly.
Now,
It's a playbook. Everyone knows that somebody is reading a playbook. From day one, when President Donald Trump came down that escalator, they opened up a playbook.
Oh, yeah.
And from day one, they've been reading that playbook, and it ain't the Bible.
No.
Okay, they wasn't reading the Bible because if
they banned God. They banned God.
If they read the Bible, they should be scared right now.
They're not going to read the Bible. They banned God.
If they read, especially Revelations 3 and 13, and Revelations chapter 1, the whole chapter of verse number 1, they should be afraid. Not us. We have nothing to fear. Trust me. I'm telling you the truth. So, John, don't look. We are the ones who are. We're not the ones who should be afraid.
I'm not.
This nation was birthed by God. This nation came out of Christian Judeo roots.
Amen.
What you're seeing right now is God rolling up his sleeve saying, how bad do you want America?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
If you want America that bad, you must have seen, just like in Canaan, a land flowing of milk and honey. I sometimes say silk and money. But anyway, this is a land. Oh my God. From California to the what? To the Gulf Stream, to the New York Highlands. This land is flowing with milk and honey. And they are licking their lips. But I'm telling you, be afraid. Be very afraid.
God
is not going to let you have this land as long as there are people like us crying out and asking for what we call divine intervention. And that's what's happening right now, even in our election process.
Yeah, and look, that question that I posed, that isn't for us. That's a rhetorical question for them. Because I know that you're not afraid. I know that you're not afraid, Errol. I'm not afraid. We're all military veterans. I look, they can do whatever they want to do. If they want to make this, look, here's the deal. Over 140 million people voted, but there's over 360 million people in this country. Okay? There's a lot of people that didn't vote. Okay, now some of them are too young, but there's at least 80 to 100 million that didn't even vote.
How crazy is that? And more frighteningly, a lot of that 80 million is in the church.
That's right.
Imagine all the people.
That's
all
right.
The conservatives, all the God-fearing Christians who are supposed to be pro-life, who are supposed to be pro-family, who are supposed to be pro-God, sitting back and not doing their duty as a Christian to make their voice heard.
That's right.
That is how we end up with this nonsense.
That's right.
That's how we end up with an election that's 10 days over now. What is it now? 9 days over now. And they still haven't finished counting votes here in California. Nope. And we have votes being stolen left and right, millions of votes being switched. I want to talk about a little bit of what's happening in California, what has happened in California, and how they've been laying the groundwork for fraud for so many years. In a state like California that routinely reports 100+% voter turnout in some counties, unclean voter rolls that Judicial Watch and Election Integrity Project of California had to sue the state to force them to begin to clean up the voter rolls. Yep. You have dead voters and pets voting. You have non-citizens erroneously being issued real IDs. You have non-citizens erroneously being registered to vote. You have ballot harvesting that was made legal and was used in the 2018 election, allowing for very little accountability for who is picking up the ballots and who is managing the ballots. And then you have this year's statewide mass vote by mail process, which carpet bombs the entire state with millions of unsecured and erroneous ballots. This process is just opportunity for voter fraud activity.
Yeah, and then on top of that, now you have this Dominion computer system.
There you go.
With the Hammer software. Look, we know what they've been doing. Okay, we just like Joe was on earlier. We talked about this earlier in the show. The split in the church has been happening for a while. They did that on transgender, the abortion issue. They split the church. So you've got some people in the church that are saying, well, maybe abortion's okay in some instances, and transgenderism and homosexuality, I guess it's okay. So they're willing to, and they don't have the right to do this, by the way. This is God's word, but they believe that they have the authority to speak on God's behalf about what is acceptable in the Bible. And just like Brother Leon brought up earlier, and it says in Revelation, if you try to change what's in this book, you're damned to hell. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're absolutely right, Errol. This has been in the works. This has been in the planning stages. They didn't just get to this moment out of nowhere. They've been working on this as a systematic approach with all the other things that you mentioned, even people moving out of state and still voting in California. They do it everywhere. So whether it's with the church, whether it's the ballots, whether it's the cheating, whether it's the coup, it all is part of the same evil plan. And it's Marxist driven. They're using racial politics, identity politics to get us to a class system where they take us out. And that's their plan. But they're going to use identity politics to try to get us there. And they've been successful. And the American people, I'm telling you, it's going to come to a head, and they are never going to believe what they've done when they see the results.
I want to share something real quick on this show. A month ago, I received a ballot in the mail, right? Looks like everybody's ballot. I want to show you this as well. I received 8 ballots in the mail. One person, received 8 ballots in the mail. Only one of them is open. Only one of them got used because integrity still means something.
Good for you.
I singularly got 8 ballots in the mail. What happens to all the other people who receive 8 ballots in the mail, but they fill out all 8?
That's right.
What happens to all the property managers who manage properties where all the mail goes to one singular place and they have 30 random ballots of people who no longer live on the property? What happens to those ballots?
Do me a favor, Errol. Yeah. Do me a favor. Take a picture of all those ballots if you can, and send them to me. I'm going to get them over to Sidney Powell.
Okay. How crazy is this?
That went on in so many places. In Virginia, there were some getting as many as 13 ballots. This thing right here got so out of control. Everyone knew, as long as we had the mask on. Where's my mask? I wish I had my mask.
That's not bad.
As long as we were wearing as long as we were, as long as we were wearing the mask, as long as we're wearing the mask, who cares? Because nobody can identify anybody now anymore.
And they don't check signature, so they don't check faces, they don't check signatures, they don't check ID.
That was a subliminal message. They were telling us from February what they was going to do on November 3rd.
Yep.
Cover everybody up. Who cares who voted? Who cares if they was dead? Or your bird, your parrot named Peaches. Okay? And this was the goal. And that's why our president is not just fighting for himself. He's fighting for every Republican, every Democrat, every independent, anyone that would ever think about running for a candidacy in the future. He is fighting for this democratic republic. He is fighting for some little kid right now who's looking at me and Errol going, one day I want to be just like them. Well, if we don't fight right now, you ain't going to be here to run for anything.
That's right.
And you're only going to embolden the left if we don't crack down on it now, because right now I am receiving sometimes minutely, not hourly, not daily, minutely death threats running for office. You know why? Because the left is emboldened and think they can get away with it.
That's right.
There's a saying that goes, it is not the severity of a punishment that deters a man from crime. It is the certainty of it. The moment people believe that they can get away with a crime when no one's looking, it only enables and emboldens them to continue to reoffend.
That's right.
So if we don't crack down on Democrats and their cheating schemes all across the US now, they will think they can get away with it in future elections. So I'm running in a district that has historically voted Democrat, is a very blue district, but I still haven't conceded my election, and there's a reason for it. If a person like myself or all the people who are running for office in the Los Angeles County area were to concede their elections, what you're saying to Democrats is, you can lie, you can cheat, you can steal, and you can get away with it. And we're just going to throw our hands up. So it doesn't matter if it's a close race or if it's not a close race, whether it's a competitive district or a non-competitive district, red district or blue district. It doesn't matter what the vote percentage that you received or not. You do not go conceding an election that is rife with.
That's right. That's right, Errol.
You hold them accountable till the very end.
What they're
why I'm still in this race.
Well, and what they're trying to say is, oh, it's just a little cheating here or a little lie there. But here's the deal. Not only is that incorrect, it's
massive.
It's massive and widespread. That's part of the lie that they don't want America to know. The other thing is this. It doesn't matter, and it shouldn't matter if it's only one lie or 5 lies or 3 lies in this county or that city. If people are lying and voting for dead people, don't you have a problem with that, with your moral compass? If you have a moral compass,
the problem is Democrats have demonstrated they don't have much of a moral compass.
They don't. So
because if you have a moral compass, you wouldn't then grant amnesty for 737 people on death row, but then in the very next breath invite pregnant mothers to facilitate their taxpayer-funded abortions in California.
That's right. That's
just one example.
Or you wouldn't let criminals out on the street or even want them released or want open borders or want, it's like in Minneapolis, they started that defense fund. So anybody was arrested for rioting, looting, assault, rape, it didn't matter.
That's what I'm talking about.
They were going to get them out of jail within 6 hours.
In
New York, no bail policy in New York. De Blasio is a scumbag.
I agree with you.
Well, look,
I agree with you.
I think why news shows like Newsmax and One American News, and look, we're praying for some of our favorite commentators, journalists. True journalism that's trying to still tell the facts, so that people can make up their own mind. Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, there are many, Tucker Carlson. There are some who are saying, look, we're not trying to say that this thing has been called. And that's the proper way. Media does not call elections, by the way. The electoral process, there is a process in our Constitution of how elections are called.
And the individual states have to certify at the end.
But if the whole thing, though, if I get the mob to say what's right because the media said it,
exactly.
Then if it does go to the courts, now we got judges who may be afraid to do the right thing because they're afraid of the mob.
Did you see what CNN did? CNN put out the names on Twitter of 2 attorneys that were representing the Trump campaign on this effort just the other day. They retracted it, but they put up their personal information. So you're right. They're trying to use intimidation to try to scare these people from doing the right thing. Listen, guys, thank you so much for joining us. This is my first show back. I've been on the road, as you know, and this was a whopper of a show, and we've got a lot of work ahead of us, guys. Errol, make sure that you send me the photos of those ballots so I can see everything.
Video when I received the mail.
Yeah, I want to make sure that did you give it to Sydney?
I'll talk to you after the show.
Yeah, I want to get that from you, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. We'll get back at this. America, thanks for joining us today on Indivisible with our guest, Leon Benjamin, Errol Webber, Joe Collins from Virginia and from California. We'll see you next time. God bless America.